Welcome to Channel 17, the Town of Colonie Government Channel.
Hi, welcome to the Senior Resources Show. My name is Cary, Director of the Town of Colonie Senior Resources Department. I'm glad that you could join me today. I'm happy to welcome my guest, Kathleen Leonard from St. Peters Lifeline Program. She's the Program Manager. Kathleen, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
And I'm going to call you Kathy. We go back a long way.
Yes, we do.
And we've helped a lot of people stay in their home in the Town of Colonie through the Lifeline Program.
Right.
It's a great program. It really focuses on safety for seniors, keeping them in their home, keeping them well. Why don't we start by you just telling us a little bit about the Lifeline program?
Okay. Chris, I think most people now want to stay home. And as adult children, we want to make sure our parents are safe at home. So I think more caregivers and more adult children are learning about technology such as Lifeline. And all Lifeline is, I'm going to pick this up so people can see it at home. It's a simple device. It looks like a baby monitor. Behind it, we plug in a cord that will go right into a person's telephone jack. And then we plug this directly into the person's jack. If a person needs help, doesn't mean the person has to fall. And I think that's the famous commercial people get caught up in. But it doesn't have to be that. A person can be in the bathroom and get dizzy. A person can be in the kitchen. This happened the other day to someone. She was preparing a salad and she cut herself with the grater. She needs help and she could not get to the phone. All you have to do is push your Lifeline button. And then a voice will come over here and say, Chris, this is St. Peters Lifeline. Do you need help? And so if you are able to talk, you might say, yes, call my husband. We have all the telephone numbers on the screen. If you're not able to talk, they'll call the paramedics.
Okay, that's great. Now, the device that they wear around their neck, tell us a little bit about that device.
Okay, good question. We have three options. We have your traditional Lifeline button. It can be a wristband or it can be a necklace. And I have a new one to show you in a minute. They're waterproof, which is the best thing going. People fall at night. People fall in the shower. Statistics show that's where they fall in the night in the shower. So wear your Lifeline button. We had a woman recently, she had an old-fashioned shower. The shower door got jammed. Thank goodness she had her Lifeline button on, because she was stuck in the shower for 3.5 hours.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. So she pushed her Lifeline button. The only reason it was 3.5 hours, her daughter was farther away than she thought. Okay. It helps in many different situations.
Absolutely.
So they can wear the wristband, they can wear the necklace. However, this, I just want to show people, this is the newest button. This just came out April 1st. The difference is this button, Chris, has motion sensors in it. I've done this job 23 years now. And for 23 years, when people said to me, gee, my mom is an epileptic or my mom's having a stroke, she can't push the button. How is she going to activate her Lifeline? For 23 years, I've had to say she can't, if she can't push the button. Now, with this motion sensor, if I'm going to put this around my neck and show you. I'm wearing the button now. I'm standing in the kitchen. Something happens and I fall. I can't push the button though. If I don't stand in 30 seconds, this is called auto alert. This button automatically alerts the hotline that I took a fall.
Wow.
Without pushing it. Now what will happen is a voice will then come over the Lifeline, okay? And the person will hear, Kathy, this is St. Peters Lifeline. We know you just took a fall. How can we help you?
Wow, incredible technology.
Unbelievable technology. But it's good because it's waterproof, just like the others. It's usable, just like the others. Someone asked me the other day, well, do I need two buttons? One for the auto alert, one for the other? No, this is all in one.
The important thing is to remember to keep it around your neck.
Yes,
I don't
you gotta
know how
wear
many
it.
times I have been out in someone's home and I see it sitting in, on the coffee table, or I've seen it on bathroom sinks because folks take it off before they get in the shower.
Right.
That's when you need it the most.
Absolutely. And if you ask someone where it is, they know exactly where it is, But that's the biggest challenge we have. I don't think it's an obstacle. I just think it's a challenge. We have to convince people of its priority.
Exactly.
Exactly. Because if, for example, a woman in an apartment complex, she's on the first floor, they were doing they were planting tomatoes. She was out by herself, 7:30. She had her lifeline on. She fell. She hit her head. She was bleeding pretty bad. She could not come in the house. She pushed her lifeline button. Her apartment was right there. It activated the unit. And people came and helped her. So, it can be for anything. I'm trying to break the stereotype of a frail elderly person. Certainly it can be. But it also, Chris, can be for people recovering from surgery. Hip surgery, knee surgery, back surgery. Because after you've been home for a couple days, family disperses. Everyone goes back to work. And now you're home by yourself worrying.
I say to caregivers all the time, it's peace of mind.
Absolutely.
It's peace of mind. I know on a personal level, I recently obtained a lifeline for a family member who was not a senior, but recovering from surgery. And it was peace of mind for me. I could go to Lake George on a Saturday and know that my loved one was, had some kind of a safety net under her.
Exactly.
So that I could enjoy my life. So as a caregiver, it's respite. It's just such a safety and peace of mind item, which isn't all that invasive or, it's just something you wear around their neck. It's not cumbersome in any way.
Right.
And it's peace of mind for caregivers as far as I'm concerned.
And you raised a good point. It's not invasive. We're not talking cameras. We're not talking people monitoring you all day. We're just saying if you need help, we can get you help. That's all this is. It's not the cameras. And I think some people worry about that. But this is, like you say, it's just peace of mind for everybody.
Right.
For everybody. I have talked to seniors coming home from the hip, knee, and back surgeries. And once that family is dispersed, and I do a home visit, people walk tentatively. That's how you fall. People get nervous using the walker. That's how you trip. People will not get up from their chairs because they're afraid they're going to fall. Well, that causes many complications. With Lifeline, though, if people know, well, if something happens, then I just have to push the button, everything kind of falls into place.
It's a prevention program.
Yes, it is.
It certainly is. Now, we talked a little bit about, you mentioned the woman who was out in her yard. What is the radius for coverage if somebody has it around their neck and they want to go down in their basement and do laundry, or they're out on their front porch?
Good question.
How does it cover?
Good question. 500 feet with the new one. This is 500 feet. The other's about 400. But Lifeline does not know front yard, backyard. It just knows the radius, so it goes upstairs. We have Lifelines in Victorian homes, basement, second floor, no problem. For someone with, Chris, a long ranch or 3 or 4 floors, Lifeline also has something called a voice extender. And it looks just like this, but the guts are out in the center. And what it does, it amplifies the sound coming out of here. So let's take an example. Mary's out gardening in her backyard. She has a back porch. She hurts herself. She gets sick. She pushes her Lifeline button. It activates. There's no problem about it activating. But we as humans, we want to hear the voice. We want to make sure. But I can't hear it if I'm in the backyard and it's in the living room. What do? Well, if you put a voice extender in the back porch, it amplifies what's coming out in the living room. So she'll know they touch base with her. They'll hear her, and then she's able to hear them. So it works. We put a voice extender in about a year ago for a woman, 84. When she does her laundry in her basement, she also walks on her treadmill. So I got nervous when she told me her shoelace had gotten stuck in the treadmill. So I said, maybe we should do a voice extender. And I installed it. And she goes, sure. So now when she goes downstairs, peace of mind. She throws her laundry in, she gets on her treadmill, and she knows the voice extender's right there just in case. So it's good.
So when you talk about someone who's using their treadmill while they have it on, it's not just for frail people who
Correct.
are homebound
Correct.
and are without a family support nearby. It's really for anybody who feels that it would enhance their quality of life and their ability to live independently.
Yes, especially people living alone, because the famous quote, accidents happen every day. And I live by the creed, don't let an accident turn into a tragedy. If that woman had an accident in her basement, she lives alone, who's going to know? What if her daughter called her 5 minutes before, and she'll call her the next day? She could be on that floor in the basement 23 hours. Not safe.
No. And
Not
I
safe.
say often to folks, you could be a fall away from a nursing home.
That's right.
I mean, that could be
That's right.
the incident that happens that changes
Yep.
your whole long-term plan
Yeah.
that you have in place for yourself.
And I was talking to a social worker the other day, and she said, once that happens, she says 2 words, everything changes. And
That's true.
then Lifeline can't help anymore.
That's true.
And so go back to what you said earlier, this is preventative. People want to stay in their homes. This is not threatening. I would strongly encourage people to get one.
Yeah, I agree. When I see that one of my seniors that I'm out visiting has that unit, it's peace of mind for me as a social worker to know
sure.
that they have, a safety net under them, and that's how I see the program. Tell me, what is the installation process and what does it cost?
Good question. Good question. The installation process, we take the application over the phone, but Friday I emailed an application to a woman in Oregon, because that's where the daughter is. Mother's here in Albany. So she had seen it on the web, and she emailed me, and I said, not a problem. So I emailed her the application. Actually, I received it last night. I was checking my email, and we're going to put the unit in tomorrow. So usually it's pretty quick. Our turnaround is very quick. There is an installation fee, but 2 months a year we have free installation. September, we're coming to the end of our September special. We have free installation. That's a $50 savings. We also, just so people can mark their calendars, we have a free installation December for a Christmas present.
Oh, good idea.
Yeah, we always do that. So now the monthly fee. Monthly fee is $38 a month. But I want you to know, and please share this with all your people, we have a sliding fee if we need it. At St. Peter's, our mission is to help people heal. So therefore, if a person can swing 31, yet the 38 is too cumbersome, we'll do 31, gladly, so we know they're safe, because that's the right thing to do.
Right. And are there ever grant opportunities available to help families to pay for it?
Good question. Phillips, which is our vendor, they gave us a grant this past year. We have 20 people on the Phillips grant for free. Our foundation has 30 people on here for free. So we have those 2 grants. We also have a grant through the Office for Aging for caregivers. And it's for the caregivers,
Absolutely.
So it gives, like you said, respite to the caregivers. So we have 40 people on that grant.
So there are opportunities
Yes,
out
there are.
to get some help with this.
Yes, there are.
I think one of the things that maybe when you talk about St. Peter's and their commitment to this program, maybe seniors would wonder, well, what if I go to Albany Med as my hospital? Or what if I like to go to Memorial, especially in this area? Memorial Hospital is right down the road.
Right.
So a lot of seniors do
Right.
use Memorial Hospital. Can they be on the St. Peter's Lifeline
Absolutely.
program?
That's a perfect question. On the application, we do ask, what is your preferred hospital? And as much as we would love them to all come to St. Peter's, no. People can go where they want. People need to go where they want. They need to go where they feel safe, where their doctor is, and where they feel comfortable. So you can get the Lifeline program from St. Peter's and go right down the road to Albany Med. Not a problem.
That's great to know. And one other thing that I was also wondering about, when folks have this unit and they decide, well, maybe I don't need it anymore, or maybe, it's become cost prohibitive, or for whatever reason they think that maybe they don't need the program anymore. How do you handle that? But before you answer that question, are folks monitored at all while they're on it? I know with the unit we have for my family member, they do checks on folks to make
Yes.
sure that they're doing okay. So those are
Yes.
two questions I forgot to ask earlier.
All right, I'm going to go to the second one first, and then we'll go into the other one.
Okay.
If a person presses his or her button and then has a conversation, or the paramedics are called, or someone's called, I can go online as soon as it's over and check second, not minute by minute, second by second, what happened. And then they fax that to us. But I can also see it online immediately. So if a family member calls and says, gee, I was a little disappointed. It took the paramedics 27 minutes to get there. Well, I can go online and say, they were there in 7 minutes. So that's very helpful. We also encourage people to test their unit once a month. Okay. There are silent checks going on all the time in here that the subscriber doesn't hear, but this is constantly being tested. And my father is a flagrant offender. He won't test it. He just forgets. So there will be times he'll lift up the phone and it will say, da, 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 time to test your Lifeline. And he can't dial the phone until he tests his Lifeline.
Wow.
He doesn't like that. But it gets him to press the button.
Right, just
You
to
know?
make sure that it's
Right.
working in the event that,
Right.
I know there are a lot of safeguards around the program.
Yes.
To keep,
Yes.
so that it is always functioning. Now, what happens if there's a power outage?
Good question.
Or,
Good question.
we had that terrible storm a few years ago.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
How does Lifeline work in a situation like that?
We have a 14-hour battery pack
Okay.
that goes with it. So usually, and that was an extreme case, you're right, usually the power's back on in 14 hours. The only time it won't work are for Time Warner people, because their phone, is connected
Right.
to the Lifeline. So when they lose power, they lose their telephone.
Right.
Consequently, they would lose their Lifeline. Hopefully, the family members then would be checking on them, But 14 hours is the battery pack, and that's a good safety feature. It was, when I started this 23 years ago, I think the battery pack was like 5 hours, and it's just gotten stronger as all technology over the years.
Has changed.
Yep.
Well, it's a great program. So we'll finish up on talking about the Lifeline program itself by talking about if someone doesn't want the program anymore. Is
Right.
there an obligation? Do they sign a contract that they have to have it for a year? How do they?
Good question.
How do they terminate it if they don't need it anymore? Maybe
Right.
they've gone to the next level of care, or they just decided they're through that situation in their life that
Right.
warranted it.
And they don't need it anymore. And that's a possibility, certainly. All they have to do is call us. Again, let me pick this up. Our telephone number is right on the front, okay, so people can see it. We also leave people a folder with information in there about how to remove or what we do. We offer people two options. We'll come and get it. We have technicians 5 days a week. We have volunteers 5 days a week. We will come to the home and we will take the unit out. However, depending on situations, sometimes it's easier for a family member to drop it off with us. Because the Lifeline office, Chris, is located in the old villa, which most people know, it's our rehab and nursing home center, it's easy to get in. You don't have to go in the big hospital with a big parking lot.
Okay.
People just drive right up to the front, they leave their car, they run in, and they drop it off. As long as they scotch tape the person's name to it, we're good.
You know who it belongs to.
Exactly.
Well, that's great.
So there is no commitment anymore. There used to be. 23 years ago there was. There was a commitment of a year. But now, because we're expanding to our audience right now, you don't need that.
Well, I know in my own situation, my loved one still has the unit. I'm not ready to give it up yet, but I see that she's getting well enough that she may not need it much longer.
Exactly.
But as the caregiver, it gives me that peace of mind to know if I do go away on a weekend or I'm not around for an extended period of time, it's money well spent to
Right.
know that if something happens, God forbid, there's a button that can be pressed and she'll get the help. For me, it is respite as a caregiver.
Yes. And let me give a final point too. This was not set up, to be honest, as technology. This was not set up as a science. This was set up by a gerontologist in Boston. He came home one night and talked to his wife, who was a nurse, and said he had treated someone that day and the person was really ill and the condition was really serious because she had been on the floor for an extended period of time. And he said, something needs to be done. And she goes, well, you're a smart man, and we live in Cambridge, Massachusetts. MIT is right down the road. She said, figure it out. So he went down to MIT, met with the scientists there, and that was the birth of Lifeline.
Wow,
So I want people to know this is not a big money-making scheme. This was, born from a doctor who specialized in gerontology. So he endorsed it. He started it.
he was addressing an unmet need
Yes, he was.
for folks
Yes, he
who are
was.
trying to live independently and live well.
Right.
Excellent program. Well, we're going to transition now and talk a little bit about the medication management program, which is a relatively new program.
Yes.
Again, a terrific program to help support folks who want to live independently and also support their caregivers who are worried that maybe their loved one isn't taking their medication or
Right.
can't be there to hand it to them in the middle of the day or give them the reminders that might be needed. So do you want to talk a little bit about
Yes.
the medication management
Yes.
program?
This is relatively, Chris, a new program. People, again, go back, we want people to stay home. As a daughter, I want my parents to stay home. But there's 4 letters, safe. They have to be safe. One of the biggest reasons people, and as a social worker, enter nursing homes, people just don't take their medicine. And that should not be the reason people enter a nursing home. There are people who need nursing homes, and that's great. But if the only reason someone is being admitted to a nursing home is because the person forgets to take their meds, this machine can keep people at home, And what it does, we send a technician over, and the technician will, speak with the family member and say, well, how often? When do you take your meds? 8 o'clock in the morning and 5 o'clock at night. Once we program the machine, at 8 o'clock in the morning, a voice is going to come over this machine, and it will say loudly, time to take your medicine. Now the key is, like you said before, person's got to wear the button. Well, the key to the medication dispenser, person has to push the button. Once that person pushes the button, then the machine rotates and it literally dispenses. I'm going to show you from home. I don't know if it's too small. A small cup. In the small cup are pills. I had 16 pills in here the other day.
Wow.
At a person's home doing a demonstration. Not a problem. It might look small, but I had 6. It depends on the size of the pill. But there were 16 pills in here the other day. And it will dispense the pills to the person. Now, just as in Lifeline, there are safeguards. There are many safeguards with this. For example, let's pretend the person's in the shower and doesn't hear the voice the first time. Not a problem. For 15 minutes, every minute, that voice is going to come over until you push that button. But let's say it's a long shower, okay, and the person still doesn't hear it, okay. What's going to happen is they're going to give them a half an hour. Hopefully they see it flashing, the light's flashing. After 45 minutes, if the person still hasn't pushed it, an automated call goes to the caregiver. How's that possible? Because we connect it to a phone line just like Lifeline. What if they have Lifeline? It connects right to Lifeline. These are all compatible. Even the colors are compatible, okay? So the caregiver gets a call and it says, your relative is in danger of missing her morning meds. Then usually the caregiver will pick up the phone and say, Mom, you gotta take your pills. Another 45 minutes goes by. Person still hasn't taken it. A second call goes to the caregiver and says, all right, she's missed it. Then what happens is there's a side of the machine here, it's called a chamber. It's a lock chamber. This machine knows the person missed the second dose. The second warning, let's say. Literally rotates the pills, deposits them in this locked chamber so that when it's 5 o'clock, he or she doesn't get the 8 o'clock pills and the 5 o'clock pills.
Wow.
A lot of safety features in this. A lot of safety features. Does it keep people home? Yes. Is it for everybody? Absolutely no. Absolutely no. Hearing has to be there. Compliance has to be there. People have to want to do this. But I will tell you, the first person who St. Peters put in was, like a couple days before Labor Day in 2009. I call her caregiver every week. Every week I call this woman. How's it going? Love it. Because it freed up the caregiver.
Absolutely.
That caregiver was going there, Chris, 3 times a day, giving her meds. She said, I had no life. She has 2 children in school. Both have disabilities. She has her hands full with her own 2 kids. good daughter-in-law, going over there 3 times a day, very difficult. So now she says she goes over every day once, but as a daughter-in-law, not as the nurse, not as the caregiver.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
so for people listening at home thinking, I can't afford this, well, as caregivers, probably we can. As caregivers, I ask you to think, how many ice cream cones did your mother and father buy you? How many sneakers did they buy us? This is $75 a month. If that keeps them home, I ask people to consider it.
A lot cheaper than a nursing home.
A lot cheaper than a nursing home.
That's the issue that's
Yes.
preventing you from keeping your loved one at
Yes.
home. Now, when meds change,
Good question.
dosages change, doctors are, if somebody has a chronic condition, maybe, fluctuating in meds
Sure.
regularly, how do you address that?
The biggest culprit of that is Coumadin.
Yes.
As you know, Coumadin changes. Not a problem. We open up, and I can show you when we lift this up in a little while. You can open it up. There's a key. You open it up, and you can take the cups out, and you can actually change the meds in there. But I will tell you, I did a training with a Colonie EMS about a year ago, and they were the best. They had the best suggestion. They said at the top of this cup, take a Sharpie and write down Monday AM, Monday PM on each one, so that when you're putting it across the table, you stay organized, which I thought was a very...
Just like a pill organizer.
Well, we just happen to have... I'm going to put this in front of my face. This is an old... It looks like a Chinese checkers. But what the people do, they put the cups in. And it helps people organize.
Sure,
Okay?
sure.
So we mark them. People can put them in here, and then they can load it up again. Now, another question, based on what you were just saying, what if it's supposed to go off at 5 o'clock and the family's picking up the person at 4 to go to a picnic? Do you have to sit home and stare at the machine for an hour? No, that would be painful. There's a button in here called early dose. Family member comes in, opens it up, hits early dose, rotates. There you go.
I can't begin to tell you how many folks that I know that are living in the town of Colonie who I've assisted that would benefit from this program.
That's nice.
Yeah, I
That's
could
nice.
definitely see it working. It's not without its challenges, I'm sure, getting it set up and
Right.
and getting it, so that it's working operationally well for you. But I think it's certainly worth taking a look at.
Yes.
Now, is there grant funding available for this
We're
as well?
working on that right now. Not, because it's new, grants aren't as easy to come by than the Lifeline. Lifeline's been around 20-some years.
Yeah.
This is still relatively new. We're trying to get grant money for this. But I will tell you, what I'm seeing families do, if there's more than one adult child, they're just taking our coupon book and they're dividing it up. You pay these 3 months, you pay these 3 months. Mom doesn't pay anything or dad doesn't pay anything.
Yeah.
And that seems to work.
It's a good Christmas present.
It
for
is.
sure.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
And another point you talked about is it cumbersome. I want to assure everybody, on the back of this machine, there's an 800 number. So if someone's running into trouble when they are filling it, okay, you can put 60 cups in this machine, okay? If you take pills twice a day, that's a month's supply. That's good. That means you don't have to load it, except once a month. Now, what if, there's a lot of what ifs. What if the person has long fingernails? And these look sturdy, they are, but if I have long fingernails and I slice it, that's going to jam. If I put a dent in it, it's going to jam. And then the machine goes crazy. But what happens is, it sends us a fax. We see what happens, we send our technician over, and we fix it. If everything is stuck inside there, our technician, Chris, will bring another machine with him, just in case. And if we need to send it back, because sometimes pills get jammed, the cap might come loose if it wasn't done tightly. Some little pills you can't get them out. They told us, don't even try. Send it back, we'll get it out, put a new machine in.
Great.
So there's no
Great.
cost to a person for making human error. Not a big
And for
deal.
maintaining that.
Exactly.
How about a demonstration? Do we have some
Sure,
time?
we'd love to do a demonstration.
Great, great. Well, let's get set up for that.
Okay.
And we'll show folks how it works.
Okay, good.
Okay, this is the medication management dispenser that we talked about. It's not a terribly big unit for holding 60
Right.
cups worth of
Right.
medication. Most folks, do they keep it in their bedroom, in their kitchen? Where is the best place for a person
That's
to
a
keep
good
unit
question,
like
Chris.
this?
Most people do keep it in the kitchen because I think traditionally that's where all the pills are laid out. So we just keep it in the kitchen for most people. I have seen people keep it in their bedrooms with a very large bedroom. But most, I'd say 90% keep it in the kitchen.
And as far as any problems with it, they could just call the phone number on the 800 number on
Right.
the unit, or do they
Right.
call you directly at Lifeline?
If there's a problem with the unit itself, they want to call the toll-free number, the 800 number, because it might be a very simple fix that they can do in 5 seconds. If not, the company will notify us.
Okay.
And we'll call them and send someone over.
If it's on a weekend and a senior is having a problem with the machine, are you accessible? Or I know the 800 number, probably somebody is always there.
The 800 number is accessible all the time, and then they also have the caregiver's telephone number. So what the 800 number would do is they would contact the caregiver and say, listen, here's what's going on. And so the caregiver would at least know. So there's no problem with that. And then we fax the information immediately to visiting nurses. We have a contract with Visiting Nurses of Albany. We fax that immediately Monday morning, so they have the information. They would in return send their nurse over
Okay.
to make sure someone's okay.
Oh, good, good. Well, I hear it clicking away, so it looks like it's getting ready to dispense the
Yes,
dose.
if it's moving, it means we're a minute under.
Okay.
Okay, and if your hearing's really good, you can hear it rotate, which we are hearing now, and it's lining up. It's like in baseball, the machine you practice, batting practice. We're hearing it.
Well, before it dispenses, can you give me the phone number, give our viewers the phone number where they can contact
Yes.
St. Peters Lifeline for information on both the Lifeline
question.
and the medication machine?
The number is,
Time for your medication.
So when it does
Press
that,
button to dispense.
so I just press
Time
the
for
red
your
button.
insulin.
see, Chris is very compliant. She pushed the button, which now is moving the cup and sent it down.
Thank you.
And it even said
welcome.
thank you.
See that? And there's my morning meds all right there in that little cup for me to take.
Right.
Then you save the cups. If it's not damaged,
That's
you can
correct.
reuse it.
Yes.
And do you supply the cups?
We supply the cups. They come with the first cups, about 60 cups for the 60 doses, and then after that they buy them. But I will say they should be used at least 2 or 3 times. You
As
know.
long as they're not damaged.
Right.
Anyway.
Exactly.
Well, this has been great, Kathy. Thank you so much for sharing information on both systems. I think it will certainly benefit seniors and their caregivers.
Right.
So I urge viewers, if you need more information, you can always call me at Senior Resources, 459-5051, or Kathy Leonard at St. Peters Lifeline. And Kathy, that phone number again?
525-1004.
Thank you, Kathy. Thanks
welcome.
for being with me this morning. And thank you for viewing today. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.